Samagavāram sammasambuddho smagato yena bhagavata yoho supatipanno yassa bhagavato savete sangho dhammayam bhagavata sadhaman sasangam ime sadari yadhara arupite abhikujaya sadhunu bhante bhagavan Sujira Marini Bhutopi Pajima Janatanuga Bhamanasa Ime Sakari Dugata Banaka Prabhuti Patitannato Amma Gandhi Garatam Hitaya Sukaya Aram Samma Sambuddho Bhagavan Buddham Bhagavantam Abhivadi Swagato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhamman Vasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sannamami Mayam Buddhasa Bhagavato Bhagavatanamatarangaro Masi Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa.
So, very good, very nice to see you all. So please now everyone, cameras on, and everyone here and everyone online, sit up well, good posture, straight back, phones away. Body and mind alert. And you close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, you leave everything behind, all that you've been doing, thinking about, worrying about. You put it all down and you leave it. And we commence by bringing to mind the Buddha, reminding ourselves of our great teacher and inspiration, recollecting his perfect mind, a mind that was clear of all forms of corruption and defilement, and even far away, far distant from any of that kind of thing, any form of greed, hatred, or delusion. A mind, too, of infinite compassion, a truly wonderful being, perfect in knowledge and conduct. Now, when you recollect the Buddha, when you think of the Buddha, when your eye happens to fall on a Buddha Rupa, be inspired to cultivate and develop your mind just as he did. Do what you can to free yourselves of all greed, hatred, and delusion, and all suffering. And remember to embark on this quest with a mind of loving kindness, particularly for you, yourself. This journey won't always be comfortable. And you will see areas of your being that you're not happy with. Be kind to yourself. Care for yourself. Remember and rejoice in your merits and your good qualities, and accept yourself. And of course, the same in your relations with others. Be kind, caring, appreciate their good qualities too, and be accepting of them. And before we go any further, be reminded of the nature of your human condition. We are all growing older. It happens all the time. And at any time we can catch some bug. Something can go wrong with some part of our body we've never heard of. We can meet with an accident. We're very vulnerable beings. And whatever happens to us, however we care for ourselves, whatever special diets and exercise regimes, sooner or later, we all die. That's the nature of our human condition: aging, sickness, and death. And that we have to come to terms with. And hopefully, contemplating this brings a sense of urgency into your practice. We don't know how much time any of us have. So try to use it well. Benefit yourself now by cultivating and developing your mind. So for that, check your posture. Sit up well, and then quite deliberately gather and concentrate your mind and direct your attention first to your body, your physical presence. And become mindful and aware of the shape that your body makes. Its solid nature. Be as still as you can. And notice that all the while you are breathing. And establish just where and how you perceive the breath. Locate that spot, that place, and keep your attention there now. So now you're just being mindful and aware of breathing in and breathing out. And that's all. Just keep your mind doing just that. Being mindful and aware as you breathe in and as you breathe out. Whatever happens now, keep sitting absolutely still with your mind following the breath. Whatever happens. But if anything does happen to disturb you, if you find yourself thinking or dreaming, if in any way your concentration is interrupted, note it. As soon as you're aware of it, note it. If the ceiling falls in, note it. Be aware of it. Let it go. Find the breath again. And again, just be mindful and aware, breathing in, breathing out. So please, everyone here, everyone online, keep your very good, very still posture. And during the next few minutes while I'm talking, all you need to do is to listen. So stay quite still. Don't bother yourself about trying to remember anything that's said or get into any arguments or discussions in your head about what I'm saying. Just be still and listen. So first of all, you should all be congratulated on doing something this evening to help yourself. It's very easy to fall into thoughts of needing to help others. And most of us, I expect, have been brought up to think that way, to be kind and considerate of others. And that's good. But it's also not so good. Of course, it's good to be good to others. But often, when people do that, they neglect themselves. And that's where it's not so good. The Buddha observed that the person dearest to all of us, really and truly, if we're honest, is ourselves. And really, we need to care for ourselves. And if we want to be caring of others, then first of all, we must look to ourselves. And when we practice meditation like this, of course, even if we're in a group, in the same room or in a group online, actually, we're by ourselves. You close your eyes and you turn your attention back upon yourself. And quite properly, it's as if you are alone. And you should feel that. You're not concerned about what's going on around you and what the person sitting next to you is doing. Whatever they do, that's their business. Your business is what's going on with you. And so you take a little time to pay attention to your own state of mind. Now, mind comes before everything. This is what the Buddha taught. And because that's the case, the state of our mind is very important. We all know this if we just think about our experience of life. Something happens and you're with someone that you really like being with and you feel good. You feel very pleasant, very joyful. And then something happens that isn't so good. Someone isn't very nice to you, rude to you, abusive or whatever, and you treat it quite well. You respond very well because you're in a good state of mind. And you can be kind to that person who's been horrible to you. And sometimes it's the opposite. Something's happened to make you angry and a bit irritable and And then someone speaks to you really quite nicely, but because you're in that frame of mind, you snap back. Mind comes before everything. Our state of mind, our inner attitude is so important. And we have to care for it and learn to understand it. We learn to use our minds. This is what we're doing when we're practicing meditation. Initially, we're making our minds reasonably fit. We're learning to use them. And when we can concentrate, when we can make our minds reasonably still, then we're in a position to investigate ourselves, investigate our experiences. This is what we do. Now, of course, this is an unusual thing to do. It's not a natural thing to do. People don't do this naturally. Quite the opposite. And so sometimes we get called extremists. Many people know, and I'm sure most of you do, probably all of you do, that the Buddha taught a middle way. Now, this can be a very misleading term, so you have to be careful here. During the 6 years that the Buddha spent searching for, well, he didn't quite know what, he embarked on some very unpleasant, very difficult, very demanding practices, which culminated in fasting to an extreme. And he became quite good at all this, and people admired him, and in particular, 5 other ascetics were convinced that he was going to break through, and they, as his friends and attendants, would benefit. And then he gave it all up. He was nearly at death's door, and he realized this was no good. And he stopped it. And he went off to find another way. And those 5 were devastated and angry because they'd put so much faith into their relationship with him. And they were now disillusioned and extremely unhappy with him. Later, of course, he attained full and complete enlightenment and became the Buddha. And the first people that he went to speak to about his experience and what he'd understood were those 5. When they saw him coming, they weren't pleased at all. And he had to convince them that things had changed, that actually he'd done it. When he then spoke to them about his realization, he began by saying to them that in effect he hadn't given up the quest at all, that he'd found another way. The way they'd been practicing wasn't the way. He'd found another way, a better way, a way that worked, a middle way. And this was a middle way, as he explained, between the extremes of sense pleasure, all the pleasures that he'd enjoyed, that he'd had when he was a prince. I mean, when you're in that sort of position, you don't have to work, everything's there for you. Well, I guess it's pretty boring. So you take pleasure. And he'd enjoyed the pleasures. And then he'd been an ascetic, and he'd done all these terrible practices that are designed to somehow subjugate the body. And in effect, of course, it's cultivating aversion for your body. Neither of them, these extremes, brought him happiness or peace. It was the middle way. So a middle way means a middle way between these extremes. It isn't an excuse for fudging your practice, for saying, well, it's a bit difficult nowadays because, and you can invent all sorts of reasons why it's difficult to practice. You have to do this and you have to do that and so on and so forth. And so you don't practice, or you are not very fussy about keeping the sila. And you justify perhaps lying, perhaps doing something to take advantage of others, because, you know, it's a middle way. To be careful about this. We are, all of us, inclined to find excuses, to justify our behavior, our bad behavior, the things that we do wrong, the things that we do, in effect, to harm ourselves as well as others. So be careful of this tendency. Look after yourself. And yes, sometimes, just as when you are looking after your children and you're quite firm with them, you have to be firm with yourself. It doesn't mean that you have to be unpleasant to yourself. It certainly doesn't mean going to the extreme of hating yourself. Yes, it does mean loving yourself, learning to love yourself, to be kind to yourself, to be clear about developing yourself, and especially about changing your mind. Because, as I said, mind comes before everything. And our practice is about changing our minds, because our minds usually are clouded with misunderstanding. We perceive some things as right when in fact they're wrong, as true when they're not. We're heavily conditioned beings. We've been conditioned to think in certain ways, to give form to thoughts and ideas and even the sense of self. And we put ourselves at odds with the true nature of things. And of course, that's uncomfortable. That's what the Buddha taught as dukkha, and which we have to translate as suffering. So we practice, we take time apart to care for ourselves, to care for the state of our state of mind, to learn to change our minds, to see things as they really are, and ultimately to be free of these views and opinions that hold us back. So, remember the middle way as the Buddha taught it. What did he say was the middle way? The Noble Eightfold Path. There it is. And for your practice, that means Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Morality, meditation, wisdom. So do your best to live skillfully, to look after your mind, and to come to understand for yourself the true nature of things. And that's enough from me for tonight. And we'll sit for just a moment or two longer. And in these closing moments, please focus your attention, focus your minds on loving kindness. Loving kindness for yourself and for all beings everywhere. May you and all beings be well and happy. May you and all beings be free from all suffering. May you and all beings realize for yourselves the secure peace of Nibbana. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivadimi Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavanto Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami thank you all very much for coming. Very nice to see you all. Have a good weekend, and I hope we meet again soon. Good night.